When you hear the term settlement with a state agency, you might wonder what it really means. In simple terms, a settlement is an agreement reached between an individual or organization and a government agency to resolve a dispute without going to trial. This process is common in situations where there are allegations of wrongdoing, regulatory violations, or other legal issues. Instead of enduring a lengthy and costly court process, both parties negotiate terms that are acceptable to everyone involved. Settlements can involve financial payments, changes in business practices, or other corrective actions. In this video, we'll break down what these settlements are, why they happen, and what they typically include. Before diving into settlements, it's important to understand what a state agency is. State agencies are government organizations that operate at the state level, handling specific functions such as health, transportation, education, or environmental protection. These agencies have the authority to enforce laws, issue regulations, and oversee compliance within their areas of responsibility. When individuals or businesses interact with these agencies, disputes can sometimes arise, often related to regulatory compliance, licensing, or alleged violations. Knowing the role of state agencies helps clarify why settlements with them are sometimes necessary. Disputes with state agencies can happen for many reasons. Sometimes, a business might be accused of violating environmental regulations, or an individual could face allegations related to licensing or benefits. These disputes often arise from misunderstandings, differences in interpretation of the law, or actual non-compliance. When a dispute occurs, the agency may initiate an investigation or enforcement action. Rather than taking the matter to court, both sides may prefer to resolve the issue through negotiation, leading to a settlement. The process of reaching a settlement with a state agency usually begins after an investigation or enforcement action. Both parties, often with the help of legal counsel, enter into negotiations. The goal is to find a mutually acceptable resolution that addresses the agency's concerns and allows the individual or business to move forward. This process can involve several rounds of discussion, proposals, and counteroffers. Once an agreement is reached, it is typically documented in writing and signed by both parties, making it legally binding. A settlement agreement with a state agency typically includes several key elements. First, it outlines the facts of the case and the issues being resolved. Next, it specifies the terms of the agreement, such as any payments, corrective actions, or changes in behavior required. The agreement may also include deadlines for compliance and provisions for monitoring or reporting. Finally, it often contains a release of claims, meaning both parties agree not to pursue further legal action on the same issue. One common component of settlements with state agencies is a financial payment. This could be in the form of a fine, penalty, or restitution. The amount is usually negotiated based on the severity of the alleged violation and the agency's guidelines. Sometimes, the payment is intended to compensate for harm caused, while in other cases, it serves as a deterrent to future violations. The settlement agreement will specify how and when the payment must be made. In addition to financial payments, settlements often require the individual or business to take corrective actions. These might include implementing new policies, improving safety measures, or making changes to business practices. The goal is to address the underlying issue and prevent similar problems in the future. The settlement agreement will detail what actions must be taken and may include timelines for completion and requirements for proof of compliance. It's important to note that many settlements with state agencies include a clause stating that the individual or business does not admit to any wrongdoing. This means that while they agree to the terms of the settlement, they are not legally acknowledging that they broke the law. This provision can be important for protecting reputations and avoiding negative consequences in related legal matters. Some settlements with state agencies include confidentiality provisions. These clauses restrict the parties from disclosing the details of the agreement to the public or the media. Confidentiality can be important for protecting sensitive information or trade secrets. However, in some cases, the law requires that certain settlement terms be made public, especially when they involve government agencies. After a settlement is reached, the state agency may monitor the individual or business to ensure compliance with the agreement. This could involve regular reporting, inspections, or audits. The goal is to verify that the agreed-upon actions are being carried out as promised. If the terms are not met, the agency may take further enforcement action or seek additional penalties. Settling a dispute with a state agency can offer several benefits. It often saves time and money compared to going to court. Settlements can also provide more certainty and control over the outcome, as both parties have input into the agreement. Additionally, settlements can help preserve relationships and avoid the publicity that sometimes comes with litigation. While settlements have advantages, there are also risks to consider. Sometimes, the terms may be unfavorable or require significant changes to business operations. There is also the possibility that settling could be seen as an admission of wrongdoing, even if the agreement says otherwise. It's important to carefully review all terms and consult with legal counsel before agreeing to a settlement. Legal counsel plays a crucial role in the settlement process. Attorneys can help evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of the case, negotiate favorable terms, and ensure that the agreement is legally sound. They can also advise on the potential consequences of settlement and help protect your rights throughout the process. Once a settlement agreement is signed, it becomes legally binding. If either party fails to comply with the terms, the other party can seek enforcement through the courts. This could result in additional penalties or orders requiring compliance. Enforcement ensures that the settlement achieves its intended purpose and that both sides uphold their obligations. Many settlements with state agencies become part of the public record. This means that the details of the agreement may be accessible to the public, especially if they involve significant public interest or government funds. Transparency helps ensure accountability and allows the public to see how disputes are resolved. Settlements with state agencies can occur in many different contexts. For example, a business might settle with an environmental agency over pollution allegations, or a healthcare provider could resolve billing disputes with a state health department. Each case is unique, but the underlying process and principles are similar across different types of agencies and issues. Environmental agencies often enter into settlements with companies accused of violating pollution law. These agreements might require the company to pay fines, clean up contaminated sites, or implement new environmental controls. The goal is to protect public health and the environment while resolving the dispute efficiently. State health departments may settle disputes with healthcare providers over issues like billing, licensing, or patient care. These settlements can involve repayments, changes to billing practices, or additional training for staff. The aim is to ensure compliance with health regulations and maintain high standards of care. Consumer protection agencies may settle with businesses accused of deceptive practices or violating consumer rights. These settlements often require refunds to customers, changes in advertising, or other corrective actions. The purpose is to protect consumers and promote fair business practices. Employment agencies may resolve disputes with employers or employees over wage violations, discrimination, or workplace safety. Settlements can include back pay, policy changes, or training programs. These agreements help ensure fair treatment and compliance with labor laws. Licensing agencies oversee professional licenses for fields like real estate, healthcare, and construction. Disputes may arise over alleged violations of licensing rules. Settlements can involve suspensions, fines, or additional education requirements to maintain professional standards. Tax agencies may settle disputes with individuals or businesses over unpaid taxes or alleged tax fraud. These settlements often involve payment plans, reduced penalties, or agreements to file amended returns. The goal is to resolve tax issues efficiently and ensure compliance with tax laws. Education agencies may enter into settlements with schools or educators over issues like funding, discrimination, or student rights. These agreements can include policy changes, training, or financial adjustments. The aim is to promote fairness and compliance in the education system. Transportation agencies may settle disputes with contractors, drivers, or companies over safety violations, contract issues, or regulatory compliance. Settlements can involve fines, corrective actions, or changes to procedures. The goal is to ensure safe and efficient transportation systems. Insurance agencies may resolve disputes with insurers or policyholders over claims handling, coverage, or regulatory compliance. Settlements can require payments, changes in claims practices, or additional oversight. These agreements help protect consumers and maintain trust in the insurance system. A key difference between settlements and court judgments is that settlements are voluntary agreements, while judgments are imposed by a judge after a trial. Settlements allow both parties to have input into the outcome and often result in more flexible solutions. Court judgments, on the other hand, are binding decisions that may not fully satisfy either party. Negotiating a settlement with a state agency requires careful strategy. It's important to understand the agency's priorities, gather all relevant facts, and be prepared to make reasonable compromises. Effective negotiation can lead to better outcomes and help avoid unnecessary conflict or delays. Preparation is key to successful settlement talks. This includes reviewing all relevant documents, understanding the legal issues, and identifying your goals. It's also important to anticipate the agency's concerns and develop proposals that address them. Being well prepared can increase your chances of reaching a favorable agreement. While every settlement is unique, some terms appear frequently. These include payment schedules, deadlines for corrective actions, confidentiality clauses, and monitoring provisions. Understanding these common terms can help you evaluate proposed agreements and negotiate more effectively. Deciding whether to settle with a state agency depends on many factors. Consider the strength of your case, the potential costs of litigation, and the impact on your reputation or business. Settlements can be a good option when they provide a reasonable resolution and avoid the risks of going to court. If a settlement cannot be reached, other options may include mediation, arbitration, or litigation. Mediation involves a neutral third party helping both sides reach an agreement. Arbitration is a more formal process where an arbitrator makes a binding decision. Litigation involves taking the dispute to court. Each option has its pros and cons. A settlement with a state agency can affect your future interactions with that agency. It may lead to increased scrutiny, additional reporting requirements, or changes in how you do business. However, it can also demonstrate your willingness to cooperate and resolve issues proactively. Settlements often require ongoing compliance with certain terms. This might include regular reporting, audits, or maintaining specific standards. Long-term compliance is essential to avoid further disputes and demonstrate your commitment to following the law. How you handle a settlement with a state agency can impact your reputation. Being transparent, taking responsibility, and making necessary changes can help rebuild trust with customers, partners, and regulators. On the other hand, failing to comply with settlement terms can damage your credibility. Settlements with state agencies can attract media attention, especially in high-profile cases. How the settlement is communicated to the public can influence perceptions of your business or organization. It's important to have a clear communication strategy and be prepared to answer questions from the media. Every settlement provides an opportunity to learn and improve. By analyzing what led to the dispute and how it was resolved, organizations can identify areas for improvement and prevent similar issues in the future. This proactive approach can strengthen compliance and reduce risk. Proper documentation is essential in any settlement with a state agency. The agreement should clearly outline all terms, obligations, and deadlines. Keeping thorough records helps ensure compliance and provides evidence if any disputes arise later. Mediation is sometimes used to help parties reach a settlement with a state agency. A neutral mediator facilitates discussions and helps both sides find common ground. Mediation can be less adversarial than litigation and often leads to creative solutions that satisfy everyone involved. Arbitration is another alternative to court proceedings. In arbitration, a neutral arbitrator hears both sides and makes a binding decision. While it is more formal than mediation, arbitration can still be faster and less expensive than going to court. Some settlement agreements may require arbitration for future disputes. A release clause is a standard part of many settlement agreements. It means that once the agreement is signed, both parties give up the right to pursue further legal action on the same issue. This provides finality and helps prevent ongoing disputes. Sometimes, circumstances change after a settlement is reached. If both parties agree, the settlement agreement can be amended to reflect new terms or conditions. Amendments should always be documented in writing and signed by both parties to ensure they are enforceable. In rare cases, a settlement agreement may be terminated if one party fails to meet its obligations or if both parties agree to end the agreement. Termination should be handled carefully and documented to avoid misunderstandings or further disputes. Before entering into any settlement with a state agency, it's wise to seek legal advice. An experienced attorney can help you understand your rights, evaluate the proposed terms, and negotiate a fair agreement. Legal guidance is especially important in complex or high-stakes cases. To sum up, a settlement with a state agency is a negotiated agreement that resolves a dispute without going to court. It can involve financial payments, corrective actions, and other terms designed to address the agency's concerns. Understanding the process, risks, and benefits can help you make informed decisions if you ever face a dispute with a state agency. Settlements with state agencies are a common way to resolve disputes efficiently and effectively. By understanding how these agreements work, what they typically include, and the importance of legal guidance, you can better navigate any challenges that arise. Remember, each situation is unique, so always consider your specific circumstances and seek professional advice when needed.